Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Crisp, the podcast. I am Matthew Farromby, and I'm here with my dad.
Sunny Farromby, welcome.
Yeah, and another episode. I know you had a couple things you wanted to.
Yeah, it was just in the news yesterday about Simone Biles coming back into her gymnastic, I don't know what you call it, routine or something. But after being gone for like a couple of years, I don't know if you remember during the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
Oh yeah, I knew.
Well, which actually happened in 2021 because of the pandemic. I think.
I know she was taking a break.
Yeah, she got it. What they call it, the case of, they call it twisties or something, where when gymnasts, when they launch and do their twisting thing they do, that she was not able to know where she was as she was twisting, and from the people who knew the sport, they said that was a very dangerous thing because the person could land on their head and break their neck or something when you don't know exactly where you are. So she took a break for the last couple of years. And then it was in the news yesterday that she came back and competed in the national championships and blew everybody out of the water.
Wow.
And it looks like the routine, one of the routine that she did that was very difficult, was one of those ones that it's one of those things where they twist around a lot that they were afraid she would not be able to do anymore or something before.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with that. I didn't even realize she came back. I totally even forgot about that. But.
Yeah, that's actually very impressive because I know over the last couple of years while she was gone, she got married, and definitely she must have been, working on herself, not just in the gym and getting ready for the championships, but working also on her mind to make sure that she's ready. She's ready to come back, and it's just impressive to me that being able to perform at that level, that level of performance, just coming back that way and still dominating, it's quite impressive. And at the end of the national championship, they were asking her what if she's getting ready for the next Olympics, which is next year in Paris, and she said we'll see or something. So she's not committing to competing in the Olympics yet next year, but I just found it interesting that for a sport like that, in fact, I think they also said that she's the oldest. I think she's 26 now. She's the oldest person to win the national championship.
Yeah, because I guess the people who are usually like 16 to like
usually teenagers,
so like early 20s maybe.
Yeah, the ones that they usually compete. So usually early to mid-teens at times when they are in their prime, I think. Not knowing a lot about the sport, but at 26, she said she was the oldest to win the national championship, and she did not just win it, she won it by
So I'm guessing this next Olympics, if she chooses to participate, will probably be her last one. I would imagine. Because I mean, she'll be like 30. I don't know, for gymnasts that seems pretty old.
Yeah,
especially for like muscle and like dexterity. I don't know how.
Well, I'm not sure about this, but I thought maybe during the last Olympics, or maybe I'm just making this up, I'm not sure, that I heard about older players in their 30s from other countries who competed.
But gymnasts or just other things?
Yeah, I think gymnasts. Yeah. And usually it looked like Russia used to be the biggest competitor to the United States, especially for the women gymnastics.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I seem to recall that there was someone in their 30s who competed in the last Olympics. But like I said, maybe I'm making it up. But I think if she continues to perform at this level, I don't know. I mean, next year's Olympics, if she competes, may not be her last. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just have to see, I guess.
Yeah. So what's the main thing you want to talk about today?
So what I'm seeing here is a fairly big problem. Is like the header. It says squatters invade homes or refuse to leave, and then it also shows how is this legal.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because the story is like, and there are actually a lot of stories. Um, it's about people squatting in other people's homes, their homes or their buildings, and then refusing to leave.
Yeah.
When I first saw that, I was wondering, okay, how is this possible?
Yeah, the very like first sentence is in Texas, a homeowner said she was locked out of her house by a squatter who claimed to have a lease after moving to the state with her family. He said the woman previously had been evicted from 3 other homes.
So the person just moved into the state in Texas, or is it where was it? Yeah, in Texas.
Yeah.
Just moved into the state and then just took over a home and locked the homeowner out.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is how is that legal? How is that possible that they could not be ejected? I don't understand.
Yeah, and even the second one here that I'm seeing says in Maryland, a woman returned from vacation to find 2 squatters in her bed. They were not only living in her house, but had also sold about $50,000 worth of her furniture. So they all not only moved in, but sold her stuff. So,
okay, I have a lot of questions about this. The first thing is, how did they get in? Was the home just left open for people to go in?
Right.
Did they break in to get inside the home?
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I'm trying to look through it here. It's trying to say that some of it says some squatters enter legally and then just stay, and others basically have, I guess, their home foreclosed, by the company that owns the house. They either get into some legal thing with them that goes back and forth that ends up taking years, and they change lawyers, so they keep living in the house.
Well, that one makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So if they foreclose on the home, the bank now owns the home.
Yeah.
And then the previous homeowner who was foreclosed on now did not leave. That's kind of, I can understand.
Yeah, that makes more sense
because they were living in there.
And they're just tying them up with legal.
Yeah.
They said they changed lawyers and filed lawsuits.
I'm not saying that's legal or anything, but at least that one that I can understand. But I'm talking about squatters.
Yeah.
Who somehow found a way to get into the home.
Yeah.
And then refused to leave. I think one of the ones you said was somebody, is it who got in legally? Maybe they rented a room or something, or how did they get in?
Oh, I'm trying to read through here to get details, because the first 2 sentences seem pretty absurd for someone who just like ends up in someone's house and says like almost, it's my house now. So I'm trying to see how that would even happen.
Well, the other one, while you are looking at that, the other one that talked about a woman returning from vacation to find 2 squatters. So these were not let in legally. They did not rent or did not do anything to allow them to be in there. But this person came from vacation and found them in her bed. And like you said, they have also sold about $50,000 worth of furniture. What I do not understand is there are so many of these stories that we are hearing that is it that they could not call the police, they could not eject them.
I'm
is there
not
any law
sure.
that allows them to stay
And then
there?
there's this other one that says the person falsely claimed they had a lease and trashed their home. So I don't know if maybe the home was already available for rent, so they like claiming that they have some sort of lease or something. Because I don't know how they could claim they have a lease if you already own the home and it's not like for rent. I don't know how that would make sense. But
yeah, that's why some of these stories, I don't know if it's supposed to be from a reputable news source, say USA Today. But it's I just can't understand it. It's difficult for me to understand that. Yes, people may do that, but how is it that the legal owners of the properties do not have any kind of legal recourse
I
or
would imagine
something?
it would have to do maybe on some sort of weird laws within maybe certain states. But this other part I found, it says some of the people involved are committing crimes from breaking and entering to fraud and forgery. So I don't know how immediately they can get them or arrest them for that. I know some of them say that the person was arrested, but I don't know how like immediately how would they even live in their house if they're arrested. So I don't know.
That's it's just it's just very baffling to me. If somebody, I'm just imagining, somebody we traveled recently to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, we come back and then we find people living at home
Yeah.
and they refuse to leave. That's I don't know. I I have more than a million things running through my head on what I would do,
Right.
but it's just it seems so unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'm just reading through some of it. A lot of it seems like it is houses for rent because it seems like they're trying to evict them or trying to get them out. So um, they're probably not living there already, except for the that first instant, a couple instances where this person returned from vacation and someone was in their house. Um,
So they were renting the place.
yeah, so
Maybe do you know if any one of them also had to do with Airbnb kind of a thing?
it doesn't show the details. I'm not seeing that yet, but um,
Because with the way Airbnb is easily accessible now, that people are renting either a room in their home or part of their home to people who are traveling. I'm wondering if somebody got in that way
yeah,
and
it's
then
very possible. Yeah,
refused to leave, or they're just renting no renting a part of a part of their home to someone. But even if you do that, I'm sure definitely there's a lease
hmm
that can be enforced. But from the way we are reading these stories, it seems to me like those squatters, those people who are refusing to leave, they have to be doing something illegal.
yeah. I think there's this. I don't know if there's little things that take a long time before they can just like arrest them. Maybe that's why. Um, One of the things here says that the person who owned the home, I think again they were trying to rent it out, sought for 3 years to evict the squatters.
3 years.
And they said the person who was squatting like filed fraudulent paperwork, forged signatures, and all this stuff. So I think in this case, this person probably originally rented the house, but like forged documents. And then when that was found out, there's probably a lot of legal things they have to do before they can evict them, I guess.
Why
So
why
I
did
don't
it
know.
take 3 years?
I have, that's the question.
No,
I guess.
honestly, why did it take 3 years? I don't know. Is the court system so backed up that it's taking 3 years for them to be able to determine who is uh, the legal owner of a property? And I think that was an example given there. If if you have a car and you find somebody just go sit in your car and claim it as their own, if you call the police, it's easy for police to check license and registration and to be able to
Yeah,
say, okay, this is the person that owns this vehicle. So, can something like that be done for homes too?
I would imagine, but again, I think it's a lot of the cases with renters, and I know it can be. It seems like it can be tricky, the eviction process, and there's probably a lot of legal stuff that can be tied up, especially when someone forges certain things or it gets a lawyer, or maybe I know there's something here that says they change lawyers like every so often to delay the process. So they probably know eventually they're gonna get caught, but they just keep delaying, doing things that delay it. So a lot of the ones here says the person, one of the ones said the person eventually got arrested and then like owed almost like all this money for like a water bill and taxes and stuff.
So they're not paying utility bills too.
Yeah, so they weren't paying a bunch of stuff. So I think they're just like delaying it, so just living for free for as long as they can, and then I don't know what they do
That's
afterwards,
very
if they
interesting.
just keep doing it, or how they're even able to find another place from that.
So
But
that if people are able to do that, and maybe the slow moving process of the legal system is allowing them to stay on for years, for 3 years before they can be kicked out, then there has to be something about either home leases or something like that. There has to be something in the law, I would think, that's not allowing the police or the legal system to move fast enough.
yeah, and it might just be something that's in, because I mean, different places that you're renting have different leases, so maybe their lease has some sort of loophole that allows them to either delay the process of legal stuff or whatever. Um, the thing I still don't get is those first two sentences about people who came back from vacation. I don't know how that worked,
I'm
because the
fine
rest of it,
squatters.
it seems like it was people who were like renting it out. But those
Yeah.
first two, I don't really. It doesn't go into detail on that one. But
Yeah, that's and I have a feeling. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I know that we've had stories about people who leave their homes open. I think it looks like there may be quite a number of people who actually don't even lock their doors. They don't lock
yeah,
their doors. They don't lock their homes, and people can just get in
just
and
walk in. Yeah.
and stay. And I'm wondering also if we talk about a couple of states. You mentioned Texas and Maryland. I'm wondering if there are parts of particular states, areas in specific states, cities that this is happening more. Because I'm wondering if some of these squatters, if they are just prowling around looking for homes that look like no, there are no occupants, like the squatters.
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
no one. Maybe they have traveled, they are not around, and then try to take over the home.
right. And in the one with their renting, it also says like, because the people who own the home, they still have to keep paying, like pay
Yeah.
taxes and other costs while still paying for whatever legal stuff is going on too. So I'm still trying to figure out how that would even happen.
I'm just wondering if this is going on, if this is happening. I'm wondering what incentive would be, or would anybody have any incentive to allow squatters in? Maybe somebody, and I don't know. Maybe some of these people, maybe they are homeless. I'm sure most of them are probably homeless. That's why they are looking for a place to stay. And some people maybe, through the goodness of their heart, may say, maybe you can stay in one room here for a while, and then it turn into they are not living anymore, and they decide not to
I
not
still
to
don't
live.
get, even with that last one, how you would allow just a complete stranger just to stay
Yeah,
without any kind of, I don't know.
yeah. It's so I'm just wondering. This is kind of perplexing, and I don't know. Maybe our listeners, if if you guys have heard anything like this, or you have stories or examples of where this is happening or where it has happened, maybe you can share them with us. But it seems so far fetched to me that something like this will be happening, and it looks like the actual homeowners, they don't have any kind of speedy legal recourse that they can turn to and be able to get their properties back.
Right. And it also says that specific cities have the ability to speed up processing of like reviewing property owners' rights. So also it probably maybe depends on the city and how much, like you kind of said, bogged down with other legal things they might be. So it might be something that just like it takes way more time than just like immediately being able to say I own this and then be able to arrest them or kick them out or whatever
Yeah,
process
one
that
of
may.
the part of the story that I also saw, it says something about this is actually becoming common in Europe, where the squatters have, I don't know if I would say they have some rights, but they have formed like a group or something. I thought I saw something like that, where they have formed some kind of a group or association or something. I'm trying to find where that is. That let's see.
Well, I'm seeing a quote here, and it's basically the last sentence of this article. They were saying a person in England, the person I guess who owned the property, called the squatter to object of like what they're doing. Or I guess they're like staying free or not paying or whatever. And they said the person answered and said, "Just so you know, I'm not doing anything wrong. I've done it the right way," which I don't honestly don't know what that means.
What's the right way?
Yeah,
The right way to do the wrong thing?
And that's where the article ends at, in that respect. So I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that. Or
Actually, I think that one you were talking about, I think I dug a little bit into that particular one. He has a link that led to the story. The guy, the person who owns the place is a woman, and the person in the squatter is a guy.
mm-hmm.
And then he offered to take her on a date to pay because he wasn't paying for utilities and things like that. He said they offered to take her on a date, fine, wine, dining, so that would cover the cost of the cost of
Wow.
staying there. And meanwhile, the property owner is engaged, and they said at the beginning they found it funny. Then they realized that it's not. This one was actually, it's not the property they were living in. It's a property they bought. They bought the property.
Okay.
They were trying to renovate, and this quarter just moved in.
Oh.
He moved in, so they were trying to get the person out of there, and that was the situation with this one. But it's just very interesting because like I was saying before, it looks like I heard that there's a kind of a movement or a group in Europe where they are not able to kick them out. It looks like they're saying these quarters have rights. And I don't know what kind of rights they will have if they're just taking over somebody else's property.
Yeah, because it has to be in someone's name and someone purchased
Yeah.
it. So I don't really understand how that would work.
So that is interesting. And one comment here that I see is that I think politics also play a role somewhere here, where the lawmakers or Congress they are afraid to pass laws so that it will not be seen to people that they are doing something against the homeless.
Yeah, so I did see something that there was a law to basically not allow landlords to access whether tenants have like criminal records or something like that. So they're not able to check to see. I don't know if they're not able to do a background check or what the details, but it basically doesn't include their offenses, I think. So that's probably part of it as well.
So that's including what you are saying. It includes past squatter offenses too.
Yeah.
So if they have a history of squatting in places that they don't have business being, so they're saying landlords have they are not able to do background checks to check if they have.
Yeah, I don't know if I would imagine it's background check or if, well, something like squatting, I guess if they never even had like a lease or something like that, it wouldn't be on their record, I guess. Yeah. I don't know exactly how that works, but like, yeah.
But it is very interesting to me, though. It's very interesting to me that people can just take over somebody's home or they have, no, or they even if they have a lease, at least even the lease, most leases is for 12 months at the most. For most normal leases. Some people have short-term leases. But even if you have a lease, it specifies the period that you have to move out. And if you are not moving out, then the landlord can eject you.
Right.
So what I don't understand is how they were not able to eject people who are not paying rent and they are not supposed to be there.
Right. Yeah, I don't really understand it.
It is interesting. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe our listeners have better insight into this, but it's just interesting that something like that can be happening, especially in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wonder maybe in some remote third world country, something like that could happen, but
Right.
not not in a country like this, and actually not in Europe.
Right. And this article also came out in July of this year, so 2023. So it's not
Yeah,
something. It's something that's fairly recent
yeah,
as far as
it's not old.
yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is something a sign to tell people to lock their doors, maybe if they don't already.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
again, I think it has to do with maybe some loopholes with the leases and laws and things like that. But still,
yeah. You're talking about locking their doors. Maybe they didn't lock their doors, but one of the other stories here that I just remember now was that the homeowner actually tried to get them out, change the locks when they were out, when the squatters were out, and they said they were able to get on the roof and climb onto the second floor and enter through the window. So that means they left windows open.
right.
Well, I guess the squatters may have left the windows open, or the homeowners left the windows open, so they enter the house through the windows and then open the door from inside.
And again, I still don't understand how that's not like trespassing or some sort of like breaking and entering. I know the
Yeah.
window's open, but you're still entering a residence that you do not own or supposedly supposed to have access to. So I don't really.
Yeah, it looks like
understand
we
all of it.
we have a lot more questions than answers. on this
Yeah.
too, because it's crazy that something like that will be happening,
Mhm.
and that the legal homeowners don't have any kind of recourse on what they can do to get these people out. It's very interesting. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, is there anything else we wanted to talk about? Like you said, I think there's more questions on this than we have answers to because the article doesn't really go into too deep with answering a lot of those questions.
yeah. No, I don't. I don't. But I'm just seeing something here that says maybe a different one, because there's so many of these stories here. A different one about the homeowner fighting, and it took 3 years to evict the person, and after the person has evicted, the homeowner was now hit with a $25,000 water bill
Oh,
that
because
the
the
previous
person never
person
paid.
never paid.
Wow.
And I don't even understand how how
And
water
that's
bill
going to be
is.
a whole nother legal thing that they
Yeah.
probably have to deal with too. So
How did somebody use up to 25,000 worth of water, even in 3 years?
yeah, in 3 years,
In 3 years, I don't
seems like a
understand that.
lot.
Water bill is not that much that that you're spending thousands. So anyway, all right.
Well, guys, this has been another episode of Crisps the podcast. As always, leave us a like on YouTube, rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we'll see you guys later.
See you next time.